Syndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian.
You know, normally we start at 8 o'clock, but tonight I needed an hour. I was so confused with all the math that was going on in that NHL draft lottery show, and them constantly looking over at the guy going, Robert, it's time. I thought it was like some spy thriller. You know, it was crazy. And then, Shep, like, honestly, you add John Buccigross to anything, and it automatically becomes 48.1% worse. That was awful, Shep. I don't know if you saw any of it. I'm not saying that because it's just stupid. It's stupid.
Well, all right. I'm not going to disagree with anything you said, but I always like to play devil's advocate. What should the NHL do with their draft lottery? Everybody else makes a big deal out of it. This is the perfect time to make a big deal out of it. Why shouldn't they make a big deal out of it?
Shep, I know this is going to sound crazy.
Okay.
But you know I love to come up with crazy, far-fetched ideas. How about you assign the draft picks in order of finish?
Well,
did anybody think of that? Did anybody think of that? Huh?
I think they did that in the past. I think the scary thing, as you well know, is the tanking aspect. Just because they do it in the NBA doesn't mean they do it in the NHL. I think it's harder to do it in the NHL. I don't like rewarding teams that are tanking, but I would like to see more proof by the NHL that is that's an issue or an epidemic similar to that of the NBA. It's a copycat world. It's not just copycat leagues. It's a copycat world, and perhaps that's what's going on here. I think there's too many teams that are in the mix for that. And of course, it doesn't help that the Red Wings have never really benefited from it. So I don't know. I would rather see them go in order as well. But are you not rewarding teams that aren't run well, don't win, and don't have the incentive near the end of a season to keep an audience and a fan base? Wondering.
You know, Shep, I oftentimes I look at the best league by far, and I don't think that using the NFL as an example is a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. I really don't. I think things work for the NFL for a reason. And I think this was Gary Bettman with his NBA background. I think he was looking for a gimmick, and he found his little gimmick. And
I've said this for you or to you for as long as I've known you. I think you'd be a perfect commissioner for the league. And I don't say that because you're a friend. I don't say it because we do this podcast. I say it because you use common sense. I agree with you what you said with Bettman. I don't agree with the NFL model. And the reason I don't agree with it because it's two different leagues. You got one playing 82 games. You got one playing 17. I just don't think it's a fair comparison. I do agree that they should go by how you finish in record-wise. And I think they've incentivized enough teams now with the way they've expanded playoffs to actually keep it interesting down the stretch. So I think by adding that, if you want to call it a gimmick, go ahead. But by adding the two wild cards, by doing what they've done to expand the playoffs and give more teams an opportunity, much like the NBA, even though I think that's a complete joke, the play-in game, then you should do away with the whole, let's pull something out of a rotator that gives me a cold envelope. Thank you, San Antonio Spurs like.
Shep, here's the thing, and I think you touched on this earlier, and I think there's more validity to it than anybody wants to shake a stick at. Show me the evidence in the National Hockey League that teams are tanking.
Right.
I want to see it. Yeah. Now listen, back in the day, this is I'm talking 30 plus years ago. I'm convinced the Quebec Nordiques did. Convinced they did.
Why?
Shep, at the end of the year, they put such bad bad lineups out there a couple years in a row. And I remember this from the Adams division days where it was just like, really, you're going to go out there. You're going to go out there with those kind of lineups and call up guys that just weren't ready to go. And let's
So how
see.
do you prevent that? How do you
You-
prevent it?
You
can. You can. And what you do is you have some type of, I hate to use the word rules, but you have to, because guys are hiding injuries. Oh, sorry, he's got an upper body. Let's bring in an NHL nonpartisan doctor to look and see if he actually is injured. Because if he is, then we get it. If he's not, then you should be playing him, right? You should have a limit to the number of players you can bring up. Let's say, much like Major League Baseball does. Look, if you want to copy leagues,
I like that.
ahead. You want to copy the NFL?
I like that.
You want to copy the NBA? Here's what you ought to do with Major League Baseball. You're allowed X amount. I don't have the right number. You would, Commissioner. Give me the right amount of players that you can actually call up in the final month of the season. And if your guys are hurt and that's the way it is, and you don't have enough guys, then you play shorthanded. Okay, your bench gets a little shorter. That's just the way it goes.
You know what's interesting? And Eric said, surprised not talking about Sharon Moore suspension. We will.
Eric, we'll get to that.
We have about 40 minutes. I promise we'll get to that. Hi, Alan. Shep, here's the thing. And this is what I would say. Now I have to play the other side. If I was the general manager team and Commissioner Bettman called me up bitching, I would say, hey, Gary, with all due respect, go screw yourself. And I have this kid that just finished his collegiate season at RPI, and I want to see how this kid goes. I want to see how this kid is on the big stage against teams that are going to the playoff. We have this kid that's been with our AHL team for the past 2 years. Mm-hmm. And you know what? We're going to give him a shot. We're going to, is this guy an NHL player? Where you got me is there should be a number. I like that.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Listen, Mr. General Manager, you can have those two kids. Know this. If you're going to take that kid from RPI, that's a year. It counts against his contract. And guess what? Now, instead of reaching free agency in X amount of years, he's got this amount of years. And you know what? As I've said, you get 4 guys. You get 5 guys. Whatever you think is the right number, whatever the people agree. You have to don't give me this what's best for the game, expecting players on the ice to give me everything you got and give what's best for the game, and then turn around, spit in my face and saying, I'm doing this because it's best for my team and not the game. That's bull crap. Don't be bitching about load management in the NBA and how the NHL is different, and then turn around and do something very similar without using that label.
No, I agree. Hey, Eric, I'm going to kindly call bullshit on you. I'm as kindly as I can call bullshit on somebody. I take offense. If it was Sparty, you wouldn't talk about it. I would tell you to bleep off, but that's probably going too far. So instead, I will say bullshit. I've never been that guy. I will never be that guy. I will also remind you, Eric, and I bet I could find the receipts if Todd and I wanted to. I told you 8 months ago this day was coming. It's not my fault you didn't understand what was going on with Michigan. And even today, Shep, people were sitting back going, well, wait a second. Burgergate's all done. They're just getting to the Connor Stallion stuff, okay? So we had all these conversations like 8 months ago, just to let you know. And I told you these days were coming, and the NC2A was going to finish their investigation. And they were, they already got the notice of allegation. And then when things start to come down the pipe, what's going to happen is Michigan's going to go, whoa. Okay, well, if we self-report, maybe the NC2A won't come down too hard on us. Shep, it is one of the most misunderstood things. And please tell me you remember this. I can find the receipts.
I remember. And to your credit, you also did talk about Mel Tucker when Michigan State went through that.
Absolutely. So I'm going to call bullshit. Be fair. Take shots that are valid. Shep, all today. I constantly talk to people that simply could not understand that was one thing. And now we're talking about the Connor Stallion stuff. And again, this is stuff that you said 8-9 months ago because people will believe whatever they want to believe.
Yeah, we can debate whether the Connor Stallion stuff is that egregious. That's a fair debate. But if there's enough evidence for the NCAA to scare the university into self-reporting, I don't agree that they should choose the games week 3 and week 4, Central Michigan, Nebraska. But if there's enough there, then obviously the school is concerned about it. The program's concerned about it too. So I think those are all good conversations to have, but specifically about trying to be fair. Look, Sean's not going to hide his affection for MSU. There's nothing wrong with it. Maybe he brags a little bit more, smiles a little bit wider, revels a little bit deeper in what happens with Michigan. That doesn't mean that he hasn't hit on some of the warts that Michigan State's athletics has suffered through in the past, though.
Yeah, Eric, you've listened to me for a long time. I pride myself on being fair. And you know why I pride myself for being fair? Because I never hide that. Right. That's why I pride myself on not being.
That's a lot different, Sean. It's a lot different than some talk show hosts who strictly are out for one thing.
Yeah.
And that is, you know what? I can't stand that school, so I'm going to rip on them every chance I can. You've got to be fair and balanced, and I think you've done a pretty good job.
Somebody asked, so who are the top free agents? There's Mitch Mardner, Ellers, and then a bunch of guys. Really, you don't want Tavares.
Well, it depends on the money, right? I mean, we're talking about the money. Matthew Shane's a free agent,
right?
Aaron Ekblad, the defenseman, is a free agent, right? So, I mean, a lot of this, you could talk about the best free agents available in the NHL. You have to associate a price tag and, unfortunately, their age associated with it, because that's all part of it. You and I both know, we've talked about this for a long time, who are the guys that can help this team as a number one center. Who are you going to get in that regard? The question is not whether or not Sam Bennett would help this team. I think he would. He's not a number one center. And would you pay the amount of money that he may require as a free agent? The answer to that is probably no.
And I'm going to be interested to see what Tavares gets on the open market. I mean, if you got like a Patrick Kane deal, that would be incredible. But the likelihood of that is very high of that not happening, especially a guy at 34 years old. But Shep, let's get into it. Alan said, was it right to let go of the MSU AD? I'm interested to hear your thoughts, because I'll say this. Right? He was a good man. He didn't do anything that deserved to be fired. Period. But this is a different era now. This is just being a good guy who's done a nice job.
That doesn't mean anything. Otherwise, you and I would not have been looking for work. It doesn't really mean as much about that. And I'm not saying I totally disagree with you when you say he didn't do anything to get fired, but he didn't do anything to prevent himself from getting fired either. In other words, like you said, there's a new landscape in college athletics.
You got it.
And if you're not willing to go all in on that, knowing that that's where everything is pointed, then you are derelict in your duty. Now, in talking with, and it was interesting, last Wednesday night, I was at the Detroit Athletic Club, and they had something on the NIL. And Tom Izzo was talking at it. Greg Campy talked at it. George Gervin was on the front, and so was the president of the NCAA. And we asked a lot of questions about NIL. And Izzo said something that I've said for as long as this has been around. This isn't NIL. It's paid for play.
100%.
We all know that. And people, so that's why I cringe when people talk about NIL. But in talking with a lot of the Michigan State donors and some Oakland University donors, their problem is right now, look, you keep coming to ask us for money over and over. And we're talking about not just hundreds of thousands, in some cases, millions of dollars from these guys. If you're going to ask me for the money, I want to see it put into play. Where's the ROI? And of Alan Haller, who's I've met and talked to a number of times, really good guy, like you said, if he's not willing to go there, you're going to be left behind.
You got it.
And then if it's too late to catch up, and you know this, Sean, if it takes too long to catch up, are you able to catch up? I mean, look at what some of these schools are doing right now. It's amazing the amount of money BYU is bringing in slobs of money. Michigan State's got to get with that program. And I think that's part of the reason. Yeah.
That's 100% the reason. Shep, it is. I don't think he did anything per se. He wasn't equipped to deal in this. And you bring up the money part. Here's the interesting thing, okay? We all know about boosters. We all know about getting donations. We all know about ex-athletes. Matt Shepard's going to share his millions with Central Michigan, okay? In the past, Shep would give $5 million to build the Shepard family practice facility, okay? You can see it there. That is going to be a monument. Did I just swear?
No, that's my money.
That's the
going
money
to Central Michigan. It's about $7.83. Go ahead.
But Shep, you can see that that's going to be there for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
This is a phone call that's going to happen every single year. Right. Hey, Shep, sorry to hit you up again, man. I know you gave us $5 million to get this quarterback last year, but can you dig in? There's this running back that we really, really like that we think will put our offense over the top. This is something that's going to happen year after year after year. And it's a real catch-22 because you're talking about labor laws and things like that. So what do we do? Is this employer? And if that's the case, then you start talking about labor laws and all that stuff. So right now, this window's open for the foreseeable future. There's just no other way to say that.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that it's gotten to this point. And there's a lot of people who were pretty pissed off at the NCAA president. I asked this question: how did you not see this coming? And how concerned are you that you may run into unionization? Where it's headed. Like, people have used the example of, oh, well, they're just going to be employees of the school. No, they're not.
No, they're not.
The reason they can't is because you've got 105 football players. You've got 15 basketball players. Like, some coaches are bitching about that. We only get 15. I don't know how many is enough, right? And then look at your other. You have to have a minimum of 16 programs to be Division I. A minimum of 16. Think of the number of athletes who would have to be employees. You can't do it.
Nope.
So, and you're not going to do just football and basketball, because if that's what you do, you know what happens to the rest of those programs, Sean, including hockey? They become club programs.
You got it.
That's not happening. So get that right out of your mind, folks, right now.
Got it. Yep.
But I do think this, Sean, watch out for privatization. There are going to be companies, donors, whatever, capital, hedge funds, things like that coming in. We're going to buy this program. We got the tennis program. We got the swimming program. We're going to pay the athletes. We run it. We put our general manager in charge, and we're in charge. And that way the school doesn't have to worry about a thing. You could see that on a number of different campuses. I don't know if that's sustainable, but that's what you could see. As a matter of fact, you're seeing it with my company at Eastern Michigan right now. You're seeing Game Above has privatized golf.
Yep.
And granted, there's only six female, 5 male, something like that. It's minimal, but it's not going away. I mean, there's more and more happening, and you're seeing the general managers of these schools, Andrew Luck at Stanford, for example, taking control or helping take control of certain things. And I think it's just a precursor myself.
Yeah. Someone will overpay for Tavares. Rob, that's the point I'm getting at. I don't think that's for Detroit. Somebody will do it at 34 years old. I wouldn't do it. Kirk Hunter said, what do you think about Kane? If he wants to come back for $4 million, I would. I'd tell Tarasenko
I would said as much. Yeah, that they've got a pretty good idea.
I would tell Tarasenko to pound sand and you could buy out that contract rather easily. I don't think they will, though, which is kind of.
He said some weird stuff about that, though. He's like,
I know.
The numbers weren't indicative of, in so many words, the numbers weren't indicative of how well he played. I'm like, really?
And then he said, well, and because he was pushing so hard, then he became frustrated. Oh, goody gumdrops. I want a pouty 34-year-old.
Yeah, right. I'm with you. Hey, I almost texted you last night. I was watching the Winnipeg game. It was thrilling stuff. Unbelievable theater. But I said to my son last night, I said, if Winnipeg loses this, Connor Hellebuck's going to be available. He's going to get traded. If you're the Red Wings, you should be the first ones in on that. Not because he's from here.
Right.
Look, dude wins 47 games, has a 2.10 goals against average, and somehow it blows up So if over 3.5 in the playoffs, it's a problem. But maybe, just maybe, a change of scenery would do him good. But he did get the win last night, so I'm happy for him. But I was going to get your thoughts on that last night.
He struggled. It was painful watching him. I don't know if you watched Game 6. It was painful watching him. And I'm not, Shep, I'm not trying to be funny. There is nothing like watching a professional athlete with yips. It bothers me. It really does. And he started that game out last night. But you nailed it, Shep. You want to change the narrative. This is your opportunity. You have a golden opportunity in a series that not a lot of people are giving you guys a chance at doing. You can change that narrative. There's no doubt about that. The guy has shown he is too good, but in playoff time, I don't know what happens to him, and I don't know what happens to them. I don't. I watch it
but give him credit. I mean, look, of the first 2 goals, one was not his fault. I would say 2 of the 3 were his fault, or could have been stopped. But he made some big stops in overtime.
Yeah,
and they did get the win. So I'm happy for them. Crushed for St. Louis, but happy for them. I just thought it was a fantastic ending. Much like Dallas, the Dallas Colorado was equally thrilling.
I thought the Dallas Colorado game was awful for 2 periods. I'm not being funny. I'm not. I thought the first 2 periods were awful. I thought they both played tentative. I thought in particular, Miko was the only one that was pushing any kind of pace for Dallas, and it paid off in the 3rd period. That 3rd period was outstanding because of a one-man game. But I'm not joking. As we are sitting here Saturday night, Shep, we're going, okay, this kind of sucks. They both 2 teams with a lot of success and a lot of cachet were playing safe, and it was kind of a tough watch in my opinion the first couple periods.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, look, I marvel at watching Nathan McKinnon. I mean, when he generates speed from his end,
fake. It's fake.
Yeah. And then Cale Makar with some shots from the high slot. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too wrapped up in those 2 guys. They get me going, oh my God, I love watching them play. So I was still entertained anytime I watched those guys, but I hear where you're coming from.
All right, let me tell you all about catering. It's graduation season. If you're looking for somebody, you call All About Catering LLC. They are a full service caterer. Graduations, weddings, bridal showers, corporate events, anything you need catering for from 25 to 4,000 people. All About Catering can and will take care of you. Customer service and satisfaction is their number one goal. So don't sweat your next big event. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today to see their menus, and all their 5-star reviews, or call 586-731-1398 to get your event started. Our buddy Todd said, let me get back to that. Hold on. See, gosh damn it, I scrolled too hard. I want to know when the sanctions are going to come down for U of M mismanaging the portal last season and failing to get a quarterback.
Can I just comment on that real quick? We've got to remember a few things. I'm not making excuses for him. Jim Harbaugh waited basically until the last minute to leave. J.J. McCarthy went through that whole national title push before he decided he was going to turn pro. Mm-hmm. And by that time, how many portal quarterbacks could you have lured to Michigan at the time?
By April, a good amount.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't know. Because I looked up the dates. I think JJ, I want to say it was July 8th or January 18th. He said, I'm gone. And Shep, honestly, we live in a world now where honestly, I would get on the phone and go, hi, this is Sean Baligian from the University of Michigan. The national champions. Well, see, we're not real happy with our quarterback room. So do you want to be on national TV? Most every single week and things like that. I thought that was horrible mismanagement by the University of Michigan.
I think it's
into the season and think that room was the answer. Ooh.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Something should have been done. They should have done that even if JJ McCarthy had stayed, just in case. But the national TV stuff. How many teams are on national TV every week? Notre Dame's on every week. How does that help their quarterback room and trying to bring people in? I get the national championship thing. I'm not buying it. I don't think that's what lures kids. Money today. Greg Campy said something very interesting the other day at that event. He said, "What used to be, how are you going to get me to the next league? What's your academics like? What are your facilities like? What's your schedule?" When those used to be the questions. Now here's the question. How much when am I getting paid, and when does it start?
That was also in play too.
Yeah.
They could have easily have done that.
Well,
Easily.
sure. But what I'm saying is when you say, hey, we're Michigan, we're the national champions,
Mhm.
you want to play on national TV, I don't think most guys give a crap. I think they want to know the money first and foremost. Because
I
last time
think
I checked, Penn State's on every week and national TV, just about everybody.
I think that's a given, though. I mean, that's the world we live in. You're going to get the money. Yeah, and now everybody saw it. Everybody saw it with our kid from Belleville. Like
Well, yeah, but that's because he's the number one recruit. If you're talking about bringing in somebody from a different program who isn't quite as good or has proven that he hasn't been as good as perhaps advertised, does it really matter that much to you?
I would say this. I would be very, very concerned if I were a Michigan fan about who is doing the evaluating. If you thought you were going to be okay with that quarterback room, that is a
Sure.
huge red flag to me.
I don't know who recruited Davis because the kid can't throw.
Can't throw.
I know. So
Shep,
I don't disagree with that. Alex Orji, I don't know who thought he was a Big Ten quarterback, but guess what? And so we're on agreement there. But scouts screw up all the time. Somebody actually thought
no question.
Christian Stewart playing at Tennessee for 3 years could be an everyday left fielder. So much so they drafted him in the first round. Some of those scouts were smart enough to draft really good players in the past, but they missed on that kid. So it's going to happen.
That's what Todd is a Michigan fan. I have higher expectations for the scouts to identify talent in mid majors that would gladly play on the big stage. The kid from down south. I would have gone to Louisiana, Monroe. There were so many different places. You make a phone call and go, kid, we're going to give you $1 million. Come play at Michigan. I thought that ended up being a pretty darn good team by year's end. That was a pretty darn good team.
Only because their defense and a little bit of their running game was because of the quarterback.
Their coordinator, the much maligned coordinator, put it all together by the end of the year and win.
Yeah, he sure did. But if you said if you're trying to sell Todd or any other Michigan fan, hey, by the way, we just got the transfer from Louisiana Monroe. What's the response to that?
For a Michigan fan, I've heard about this kid. He's got 6 stars. He's the greatest quarterback ever.
No, I think it's, are you kidding me? That's the best you can do. You went down to Louisiana Monroe. Holy crap, man. The only thing they get good down there is gumbo for the media anytime they get ready to call a game.
So Shep, what do you make of this? I'm going to say it again. You and I talked about this last year. We talked about it a lot. They're not going to take away the championship. Let's say worst case scenario, they take away your championship. What does that mean? You're number one. It happened. All that stuff. Okay. Of course it's not happening, but just the worst case scenario, I would say as a Michigan fan, I'd put my number one finger up. I'd be Larry Bird all day. 3-point competition, Shep. I'm Larry Bird. You can never take that away. Right. Exactly. That's it. So with that being said, you knew that round 2 was coming. I'm drop dead shocked with as much as it's been reported. I'm drop dead shocked that people are still going, wait a second, I didn't see this coming. Now this is the Connor Stallion stuff. I don't know what's going to happen, Shep. I do not think that the NC2A is going to hit with a hard hammer, but I am going to be intrigued to see what else is coming down the pike.
Well, what else do you expect? I mean, what do you think should happen? How much is enough punishment? And just so people are clear, he's getting the 2-game suspension because he deleted messages, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the wrongdoing is based on what? He deleted messages? Or the wrongdoing is based on he was covering up what the people view to be an illegal act? Which is it? Or is it both?
And I think that's to Sharon Moore. The question is what's going to come to the program itself. And that's what I'm intrigued at, because I hope, are we at the point now where we can be adults? That was him on the sideline at Michigan State. It was him. Yeah. It was him. And it was funny because a lot of people,
Central Michigan,
that was against Central Michigan. It was him. Like, we all know it was him. It's like that was the stupidity of it. Oh, can you prove it's him? Yeah, okay. And he didn't remember it. All those things. Shep, I'm sure there's.
I misremembered, Sean. Rafael Palmeiro.
Rusty Harden. That was the best. then, obviously the buying the tickets and doing it under his own name, he was a dumb guy. I mean, this is Connor Stallions related. I don't even look at Sharon Moore. This is Connor Stallions related. I think the funny thing is, and this is just my guess, what the NC2A is pissed off at is Michigan trying to play like we didn't know who this guy was,
Right.
and he wasn't really associated, even though there he is with his game ball and all that stuff.
Right.
That's the devil in the details.
100%. I think a lot of things that the NCAA, though, a lot of things that they do runs hollow to most fans because they've proven they don't do things very well. They've proven they don't have much foresight. They've proven that there are double standards. So how much are really people looking into this and saying that is just or unjust? It's going to continue that way for a long time.
Yeah, it's Eric, if you're saying no, they didn't know who Connor Stallions was, you can sign off and never sign on again.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
They knew who Connor
Stallions. I would just tell you this. You and I both dealt with coaches, professional coaches and collegiate coaches. You know what's going on in your program.
100%.
Okay. And if you don't, you're not just derelict in your duty, you should be fired. All of them are type A personalities, and they have, it's not a God complex, but they understand. I mean, it's theirs. They literally think it's their program. They oversee everything. I'm not saying that they can look out for 125 kids. I'm not saying they should be looking, you know what, if Jack Baligian's at that toga party on a Thursday night, he's not playing Saturday. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I get it.
They know what's going on in their program. That's why nobody believes Joe Paterno didn't know. That's why nobody believes that Steve Spurrier didn't know. It all is there. And if you're not involved like that, if you don't know what's going on in your program, you've lost control and you don't deserve to have a program.
Right. Yep, no doubt about it. Hey, if you're ready to take charge of your financial future, look no further than the Wealth Advantage Group, located in historic downtown Northville, owned by the handsome fellows right there with over 20 years of industry experience. They understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are. And that's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now, whether you're saving for retirement, getting ready to sell your company, already in retirement, these guys can help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They work with clients throughout all stages of life, and they have clients in over 20 different states. Look, the investment world is a complex one. If you are ready to start taking your finances more seriously, it might be time to work with the experts. Reach out to my friends. It's Mike Husak and Jeff Husak, great guys at the Wealth Advantage Group at 248-773-8574, or check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. Shep, the Detroit Tigers.
Can I just say one thing real quick before we dive into that?
Yeah.
The Knicks were down 20. Now they're up 2 in Boston.
That's the NBA. That's the NBA.
It's playoffs.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
What is taking place?
Yeah, it's insane. Well, we saw some blown leads in the NHL that we don't usually see, right? I mean, that's the craziest thing. Gordy, I agree 100%. Shep, the coaches know what's going on. They knew.
Good coaches.
I don't have any time to listen to that. Sorry. If you're one of those guys that you want to live in your own little personal playground while calling everybody else not objective, then look in the mirror.
Yeah, they're the CEO of a very large business.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not General Motors, Ford, or Chrysler, but it's a large enough business. Okay. If you don't think the Husaks know what's going on under their roof and their building, that's their name on it. Of course they know. Coaches know too. Good ones do. And if they, like I said, if they don't know, then they're going to be looking for work sometime.
Jim Harbaugh gave him a game ball. Like, come on. Like, seriously. Like, are you serious here? Shep, the Detroit Tigers, I told you a few weeks ago, I'm done wondering why and how and all of those things that I normally do. I'm done wondering. I just know this is a pretty darn good baseball team right now. And here's a team that's leading in run differential. That's number one. Here's a team where their best player in WAR is a guy by the name of Javi Baez right now. The same Javi Baez who has a 300 batting average and is over 800 in OPS right now.
Yeah.
I'm done asking how and why. I'm just accepting they're a pretty darn good baseball team, and they have, in my mind, and I don't think you'll argue too much with me, the best manager in the game, a guy who feels the game like no other. I mean that.
Yeah, I think he's the best. He's one of them. I mean, Terry Francona is pretty damn good there in Cincinnati. Dave Roberts is really good in Los Angeles. I think Doug Melvin's a really good coach or manager in San Diego. But I would agree with you. I mean, I've always spoken highly of AJ Hinch. I think he's brilliant. I think he's a great communicator. The thing that should leave most Tiger fans encouraging, and I'm going to be the stick in the mud, and I'm just going to hold off. All right. I mean, I'm not.
I get it.
I'm not judging this team on 35 games, but they've been really impressive. The thing that should leave you most confident is their offense is clicking. They are top 5 in home runs now. They are top 10 in slugging, top 10 in OPS. Those are the things I said that they needed to do. You and I, before the season, I wanted Teoscar Hernandez. I wanted Anthony Santander. I wanted guys who could play every day. I wanted guys who could leave the yard. Now, they've been hitting homers in friendly ballparks. Los Angeles is friendly. Houston is friendly. They've had 16 homers on the road trip. That's impressive. They had 34 runs in the series against Los Angeles. Their last 6 wins, they've scored 7 runs or more. The weak part we thought of this team, it's power. And that's the way the game is played today. The NBA is a 3-point league. The NFL is a passing league. As much as you and I like Chuck Foreman and Earl Campbell and Chuck Muncy and the like, that doesn't work anymore in the NFL. You have to adjust. In baseball, it is about power, Sean. Damn it, it's about power. Detroit needed to prove they've got power early on, especially on this road trip. They have proven that. That should leave you really positive about where they're going.
Shep, that was one of my biggest concerns, and I know I shared it with you. Who's going to hit the home runs on this team? Who's going to? They're third in the AL right now.
Yeah, 5th overall. Right.
Yeah, look who's out right now. I mean, and they're doing it with guys
but Parker Meadows and Matt Vierling aren't home run hitters.
Well, they're certainly going to add more than some of the guys that are there. Pardon me, Justin Henry Malloy has no business being in the major leagues, right? I mean, that's the kind of stuff. So I said it. You didn't. Shep didn't say it. So if somebody gets mad, Sean said it, not Shep, right? It's one of those things.
Listen, no, I mean, who says you're wrong? And I'm not going to totally disagree with you. I didn't think Trey Sweeney belonged either. And then you saw him go four hits and 6 RBIs, the first Tiger shortstop to ever do that in a game. I didn't think he belonged. Okay? So we can be wrong. It happens. Just like people have been wrong so far, not necessarily for a full season. They were wrong about Casey Mize, wrong about Spencer Torkelson, wrong about Javier Baez. And, by the way, when Riley Green was 1 for 32 with 19 punch-outs and everybody wanted him sent down, and I said, take it easy. He's not broken. What's happened? He was named Player of the Week this week.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. We overreact. And it's not just fans.
No.
You know that. It's the media going crazy with it, too. How? Let's open up a phone line. Riley Green should be sent down. It's ridiculous. Torkelson's a bust. Mize is a bust. Baez, buy him out. All this other stuff. I understand why people get certain emotions, but you got to be careful on that stuff. The other thing I would say about the Baez thing, and look, 3 years, horrible. So I don't think this should change your mind about him yet, but you should be happy for him. I got a lot of people telling me, come on, man, he's a bad example for the young players. Bullcrap. They like him a lot. He's a good dude who the players like him in that clubhouse. That doesn't mean you keep him. It doesn't mean he warrants the salary he gets. But the players respect him and they like him because they think he works really hard.
Shep, and that's, listen, I'm trying really hard to put the $25 million on the side. I am.
You can't.
And you can't. Okay. So, but at the same time, you know what? I would rather have a Javi playing well in the field, having an 800 OPS and a 300 batting average than that disaster, that hole that was in that lineup last year. Period. End of story. So if this is the best version of Javi, I'll take this best version of Javi.
Well, how about this aspect of it? In Boston, they acquire Alex Bregman, who's a 2-time Gold Glover, a World Series champion, a multi-silver slugger, one of the better third basemen of his era. I'm not saying he's the best, but he's one of them. And the Red Sox third baseman, Rafael Devers, who can't field a lick. I mean, your two dogs field ground balls more easily than he does at third base in Boston. And he's complaining left and right. This is my job, blah, 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 blah. Worst defensive run save of any third baseman, right? What is Javier Baez doing for Detroit? Oh, you need me to play third? I'll play third. You need me to play center field? Never played it. I'll play center field. Where's the love for a guy? If we're going to rip on a guy, we have every right to, based on the amount of money that he makes and the underperforming. But when a guy performs and has that type of attitude to help his team, where is the appropriate attaboys there? He deserves it. Now, let's see if he can continue to do it, Sean. But he deserved it.
It's still a horrible contract. Like, and I know we're in agreement there. It's still, I mean, it's a horrible contract. And we'll wait and see. Hey, did you know that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their home and auto insurance?
Yeah, only because of that show. Yeah.
Our friends at Legacy Partners are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents. They provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all of your insurance needs, personal and business, large and small. Seriously, we did it. Had one talk with Alex. Alex called us the next day, said, boom, boom, boom. Immediately, we started saving money. Why? They help people like my family by fixing mistakes other agents have made, asking the right questions to get the right coverage put in place to properly protect you. Did I mention save money and help saving you money? Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last few years, you're paying too much and you could be underinsured. What are you waiting for? Give Legacy a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, business insurance needs. Call them today. 586-209-4106. Are you ready? 586-209-4106. Or visit legacypartnersins.com. Shep, we only have a couple minutes to go.
4106.
All right. I want to ask you a question. The American League right now. And you're right. Let's deep breath. Let's take a deep breath. We are only for the Tigers 35 games in. Okay. But are we allowed to talk about right now, when I look at the American League, there isn't one team that makes me shiver?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that?
Absolutely.
There's not one team in the American League that makes me shiver.
Fair enough. If you're the Yankees, okay. If you're the Mariners, are you looking at the Tigers and shivering?
Maybe their staff. Maybe their staff is what I would say. Maybe, especially the Yankees, when you know that's been their kryptonite, is getting out pitched and getting out pitched multiple times by the Tigers.
Well, they got pitched, but they were good enough to get to the World Series last year for getting out pitched.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
So they're different now. Obviously, they don't have Garrett Cole. Obviously, they don't have Juan Soto. I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit because, we haven't seen enough of Reese Olson. Sorry, 112 innings a year ago does not sell me on a player. Haven't seen enough of Jackson Jobe. Love his stuff. Love what everybody talks about with him, but it's still a wait and see thing. And with Casey Mize, I want to know. I want to know where the innings are coming from their starters.
Well,
Casey Mize has thrown 150 innings once in his career. I just mentioned Reese Olson, a career high 112. Paul Skeens last year threw 130 innings, 134 innings. You think you're going to see Jackson Jobe throw more than that? You are not. How are you getting to 800 innings plus from your starting staff? Let's see what happens.
It's huge. This is where, and you never know what you're going to get out of Jack. There's good Jack and there's bad Jack. There just is. He was sailing the other day, and then all of a sudden it just went poof, and you're like, what the hell happened? They're down 5-1. Right. I still like their staff infinitely better than anybody else's right now. I mean, I can't.
I think when Seattle's healthy, I think their staff is really good. But yeah, I'm not poo-pooing their staff. I'm just telling you, I'm going to be very careful so far. At some point, Sean, I'm going to have to go, you know what? Damn. They're totally legit.
I'm not writing any checks for them, Shep. I'm not. Honestly, I'm stopping myself from writing checks, but I am done wondering how it's happening. And I'm just kind of accepting that it's happening. Yep. That's where I'm at. It's just like, nope, this is what it is now. You know
what I like about him, Sean? Carpenter is playing regularly. Green is obviously playing regularly. Torkelson is playing. They're going to take him off their feet once in a while. Torkelson. That doesn't mean that I'm going to hide the fact that they screwed up Colt Keith as far as I'm concerned. I think it was malpractice what they did with Colt Keith, moving him to first. He started 3 flipping games there. It's not good. Trey Sweeney has to have more than 1 game. I still think they need an answer at third base. Zach McKinstry's been really good. Let me just tell you the guy who's really impressed the hell out of it. Dylan Dingler's really impressed me. So when you talk about Jake Rogers being a Gold Glove finalist a year ago, that staff doesn't seem like it's missed much of a beat with a guy like Dylan Dingler behind the dish. And by the way, he hits.
Jake's got a really cool mustache, and he's great with the media. Hey,
he's my buddy, man. He's my buddy.
Good dude. When it
What's
comes
up, JR?
When it comes time to get in a house, you're buying, selling, or both, you need to contact the right agent. Who do we recommend? That lady right there, Lindsay Bradwell. Your house is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up on the mean streets of Northville and has expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business. When it's time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house, and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, even first-time buyer, make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She'll help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Shep, Leafs.
4-1 Toronto.
Leafs all over them. Come on, I can't wait to go and watch it. Plan the parade, man. This is it. This is the one.
Well, hey, I love the way they're playing, and then they're overtime with Boston and New York. We'll talk more about it next.
When they're getting the goaltending that they're getting right now out of Stolars,
it's pretty damn good.
Huge. It's huge. It really is. Take care, my friend. We'll see you, Todd. Thank you. See you guys later. God bless y'all. Bye.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.